And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the 3 Girls in Love channel, which is now 3 in Love channel. Thank you so much for watching. Today I'm going to have a response video to Sarinia Bryant. She's the new fan favorite now for this channel because she talks about some incredibly awesome topics. And hope to have a collab with her at one point in the future. Let's see if she will respond to my messages. If I do write her soon, which I will. But she just had like such an amazing last 2 videos in terms of topics, and I decided to not watch this one beforehand. So this one you're gonna see live without me having seen it, and it's is the desire in your long-term relationship missing? Okay, I started watching at like about a minute and a half, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just gonna be such a good video, so I can't watch it yet. So let's just get going.
Be, wanted because this person's all over
of
me.
course I gotta fix the sound.
Myself. And so
thought I had this covered. Hold on a second. There you go.
We feel about ourselves. We're like, oh, how come you didn't want to have sex with me yesterday? That was
there you go. Okay.
You just went to bed. Or how come
and we'll start again.
Hello, my beloveds. We're gathered here today to talk about desire, specifically desire in long-term relationships, because everybody at some point wants to know the answer to this, right? They're like, how do I bring desire back into my partnership? How do I keep it alive?
Okay, first of all, she brings up a very valid point. Everyone at some point in their lives will want this solution to their problem, which is basically the desire in their relationship, because it has taken a dip, which it does every single time. Let's keep going.
How do I not lose it, right? If we have come from enough relationships, we see how there's always a dip. And we want to make sure that with this new one, how can I make sure that doesn't happen? Is there some way that I can control that we can keep this desire alive forever? So
I love this. The cool part about if you think about relationships, there's a reason why we fall in love, okay? And it is because of attraction. Attraction is the beginning phase of every single relationship, and preferably, if we could choose, we'd want that attraction to keep going forever. Like she says, she literally uses the words that I love, like in love forever. However, there's always this dip. What is going on? We have to figure out what is going on.
So let's talk about that. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to keep desire alive. But first, we want to really talk about that dip in desire and how to now view it with a sense of acceptance, that it's absolutely normal, that it's not going to be the same as it was in the beginning.
So first, we have to look at the desire with acceptance, or in other words, the lack of desire. The dip in desire needs to be looked at with acceptance, because it's not going to look the way it used to look. Oh my gosh, like if I was told this in the beginning of my relationships, that you're going to be fired up about this relationship. No, actually, it's the other way around. You as a man, you're going to be fired up about this relationship until, she loses her beauty and becomes massively masculine and doesn't want to have sex with you anymore. Her, on the other hand, she's going to lose attraction for you very, very quickly, simply because of the fact of monogamy causes that as a default to happen to every single relationship where a woman is involved. Okay? She will lose attraction. Now, why does it change over time? Now, we're going to get into that a little bit more in this video. We've only come like 52 seconds. Let's keep going first.
Right? So everybody kind of gets to that point in their relationship, and it's different time for everybody. For some people, it might be after 3 months, for some 6 months, for some a year, maybe some up to 2 years, right? It's always going to be different depending on your relationship, and mostly depending on how much time you spend together.
Boom. Okay. I absolutely love what she's saying here, because she says the attraction phase, or the in-love phase, the honeymoon phase, if you will, is different in timing for different people or for different relationships. And she really hits it on the nail. This is completely correct. The more time you spend together, the less that amount of time is going to be. Okay, so the less you're going to be in love, the shorter that time frame is going to be, the more time you spend together. So if you spend like minimal amounts of time together, then that in love honeymoon phase can actually continue for quite some time. Isn't that interesting? This is how it works in every relationship. Okay, so we got to understand that. Let's go.
So if you fall in love with someone and you guys move in together after like 6 weeks, the desire tends to fade faster because you're with each other all the time, versus a couple who might have more of a long distance relationship or might just see each other on the weekends and they have a lot of space in between to be apart. Those relationships tend to keep the desire high longer because they see each other less.
Perfect. So 100% correct. Absolutely 100% correct. So congratulations, Sarinia. I completely agree with you on that one. So we've learned a principle. This is a principle. The man, the reason why the woman is attracted to him is because he's masculine. That's the energy that a woman desires from a man. She wants masculine energy. She wants him to be a leader. She wants him to have power. That's what she's attracted to, the confidence, the direction that she gets from it, right? While he is attracted to her femininity, correct? Like her submissiveness, her flexibility, her desire to, please him, etc., okay? Over time, the more time you spend together, the more the man becomes feminine. So he was masculine in the beginning. The more time he spends with you as a woman, the more feminine he's becoming. And you as a woman, the more masculine you are becoming compared to the femininity you had in the beginning of the relationship. So the more there's this lack of polarity, the less attraction there's going to be. You're going to repel each other. You're not designed to be basically hybrids together. That repels you from each other. Okay, just in principle, this is what happens every single time.
So desire really depends on that space factor and how much you actually have that person, right? Because to desire something means to imply you don't have it.
To desire something implies that you do not have it. Oh my gosh. How did you do this, Sarinia? This is beautiful. This is amazing. So remember what my channel teaches. I teach not about monogamy and not even about casual sexual relationships. I'm completely against sexual relationships outside of commitment. Completely against it. I'm abhorred by it. Like literally, I'm disgusted by those type of relationships. But within commitment, man, I get fired up about 3 in love, okay? And you'll see throughout this video that she is going to try and explain how you can have this in monogamy, while I know that you can't really have it in monogamy. It requires you as a woman to desire something that you cannot have right now. But you have the security that you will have it, and that you will have it at equal measure and amount as your other 2 best friends forever. That's the key. But we got to keep watching to see what she says about it.
And to feel desired feels really good, right? If someone desires you, like they can't keep their hands off you, you're having sex multiple times a day, every day, it gives you the feeling of, I must be sexy, I must be attractive, I must be, wanted because this person's all over me, and that gives me a good feeling, makes me feel good about myself. And so when we start to notice that that's not the case anymore.
Just briefly, she says here that if someone wants you all the time, oh my gosh, this is amazing. No, this is only if the man is high value. If the man is all over you all the time, wants to be with you every day, the more he does that, the more you're like, whoa, this is like too much. Like you literally are designed as a woman to desire a man more than he does desire you. The moment there's a switch, the moment he desires you more than you desire him, you begin to get turned off. You're like, you got to give me some space here. Because you become the masculine one. He becomes the supplicating, submissive guy because he's trying to get you to do something that you don't want to do. Right? So he becomes submissive. He doesn't understand why you're like no longer feeling it because he's consistent. He has consistent desire towards femininity and beauty. While you have a temporary desire based upon the environment that is created. which means that if he continuously supplicates to you and puts you on a pedestal and wants you all of the time, you get sick of it. And that's what completely eradicates desire from your relationship.
It goes directly hand in hand with how we feel about ourselves. We're like, oh, how come you didn't want to have sex with me yesterday? That was the first time, you just went to bed. Or how come we didn't have sex the last 2 days? Or, oh my gosh, this whole week we didn't have sex. Red flashing sign, there is a big issue here, right? And what's really the threat here is that I'm feeling not wanted anymore. I'm feeling like you don't desire me anymore. And that's a scary feeling, because we start to think, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? Am I not sexy anymore? Do you not want me anymore? It's not the same. If you still wanted me, then you would still be treating me the same as you were before. And so we really have a false idea of how desire works, right?
Okay, brief thing here. This is not really the normal experience that people have. What she's talking about. Obviously, she's very beautiful. Absolutely. And so she will have a little bit different experience than those that are 7, 6s and below. Okay, so she's definitely above that. But if you understand this aspect, that like very beautiful women that are like 8 and above, they're going to have these kinds of experiences where the man is attracted to her, and then he might distance himself from her. So in the beginning, he might be very excited, but then he distances himself. Why? Because she actually got attracted to a guy, and if she is actually attracted to someone and fired up about being with him, he's obviously high value in her eyes. Okay? Not necessarily high value according to our definitions, but high value in her eyes. Which means that he has options, which means that he doesn't need her as much. So that's the experience that an 8 and above will have in that type of relationship. And this is what she's talking about. If a man suddenly goes a week or maybe a few days not desiring sex, that's like, whoa. What's going on here? For most women, however, they will not be with someone who wants them, they'll be together with someone who wants them all of the time. There won't be a time when a guy doesn't want to be with her, even though she's less beautiful than the 8s and above. It's a bit crazy, but because the more feminine a guy is, the less options he has, the more he's going to chase. He's chasing. So a 7 and below most probably is not going to experience it as much as an 8 and above in terms of not having access to it, if that makes sense. Yeah, ask questions if you guys have any. You can comment down below immediately right now, or subscribe and like so that you can kind of keep up with these videos. But comment down below if you have questions so I can answer them at the end.
Right? And so that's really what's causing the big issue. So rather than trying to solve this by trying to be more desirable and getting more sexy, getting more lingerie, which can help, right? And I'm not saying don't get the lingerie, because we all want that sexy lingerie. But rather than thinking it's solely depending on how attractive you are, really take into account that this is a normal thing that happens with time to every single couple. It is not just you. It's not that if you were the hottest girl in the world, he would have the same, feeling of desire for you for the next 20, 30, 50 years. It's just not how desire works.
Okay, first of all, I'm beginning to veer off a little bit in terms of disagreement. Not to reject Sarinia at all. I'm just basically saying this is my experience. Is that the girl is wondering why the guy isn't interested. In a long-term relationship, usually it's always the girl that falls out of love. A guy is so consistent in his desire. If nothing changes, he doesn't change. Literally. If everything in the relationship is amazing, then his constant attraction to a woman will be constant. Unless she's put on massive amounts of weight, he will be looking elsewhere. Or he's even if he was watching tons of porn, doing a lot of crap, he'd still want sex consistently. That's what's normal. So just wanted to state that here, that for a man to not desire it, that must be, he must be doing it elsewhere, or be extremely focused on his business. Like, but if he would be consistent in his business, he would be communicating that properly to a beautiful woman, like, for example, Sarinia. Like, did you understand what I mean? Like, he wouldn't want to lose her. So the reason why if he doesn't care about losing her, I'm just using her as an example because she's telling the story, then he obviously has other options that he's not telling her about. Does that make sense? So that's the only way that a man can be inconsistently interested in you that way. It's women 90% of the time that loses desire first in a relationship. And she starts bitching, and that's when the man starts to lose desire and start looking elsewhere. Does that make sense?
Right? So we need to keep in mind that what we should be really wanting here is how can I have good sex? Right? That's what we should be really looking at, focusing on, rather than how do I keep desire.
Let me listen to that one more time.
We need to keep in mind that what we should be really wanting here is how can I have good sex?
So she says what we should be focusing on, instead of focusing on desire, we should be focusing on how can I have good sex. That's interesting, because that's, in my opinion, this is just me, that's kind of putting the cart before the horse. The horse is the drive, the thing that pulls, the thing that brings, the action, the fire, the excitement. To basically say that no, you don't need desire. Why do you need desire? So, right? Because that's what she says in the title. Is the desire in your relationship missing? Don't care about the desire. Just have good sex. That's it. That doesn't work in the long run, in my opinion. Like, no, you need to focus on desire. How do you keep desire? How do you have that flourish forever? Because it's not just about good sex. Because eventually, if you have sex with the exact same person every single time, and you get into a routine, it won't be good sex. And if it is, it won't be, like fireworks the way that you want it to be, or the way that it was in the beginning. But we're in long-term relationships here, so how do we manage to keep this fireworks exponentially over time? Like, literally, that the sex is not only good, but it gets better exponentially. And the desire doesn't decrease, it increases over time. That's what I'm interested in. And I'm the only one, obviously, who's talking about this. I was hoping that maybe she would, but who understands these things? Let's keep going. Again, Sarinia is amazing on this stuff.
Right? That's what we should be really looking at, focusing on, rather than how do I keep desire? Because desire is not needed for good sex. In fact, what is needed for good sex is basically the same things that are needed for a good relationship. Okay, so things like trust, communication, openness, right? Vulnerability, intimacy, to be able to have conversations that might be difficult to have, to really truly want to be curious about your partner, right? Tell me about your fantasies. Tell me about the things that you've been afraid to tell me.
Quick thing there. This sounds like a lesbian relationship. No offense, but literally, like, who cares about desire? Okay, we're hybrids, guys. Let's be okay with being hybrids. Masculinity and femininity, polarity between that? No, we don't need that. Come on. We can just focus on good sex. And that, like, that doesn't work in the long run. Oh man, what did she say there?
Curious about your partner, right? Tell me about your
is it you're supposed to have the trust, you're supposed to have the closeness, you're supposed to have the communication. Like, that sounds extremely feminine to me. That's like the woman wanting the man to be feminine. Because if you're feminine, at least we can meet halfway. We can meet together. Let's be hybrids together. You don't need to be masculine. I don't really need the masculinity, because, like, I don't need the desire. Like, do you guys understand what I'm saying? I think you do.
Fantasies. Tell me about the things that you've been afraid to tell me. What would really turn you on? What do you really like? What do you want to try? Right, so that communication and the trust to be able to communicate, that is really, really, really one of the fundamental things that I always hear, especially when I talk to people who feel very comfortable with their long-term partners and they have great sex. It's we have great communication. And
That she said great sex. I don't believe that. In a long-term relationship, we have great sex. I highly doubt that. Unless there are exceptions to the rule, and it's because like they're really focused on it. The woman is really focused on submission. Okay, they're really focused on improving this, that, and the other, etc., etc., and they might even involve other things or even other people, and all. Like those are the people who have great sex, but they've got a lot of other problems because they're involving a lot of other things and people and stuff like that. So they have to basically pay the price for having great sex. Okay? Now the people who pay the price for great sex very often have real problems long term and exponentially, and very often mental problems and breakups and this, that, and the other. We don't want that. We want consistent, long-term, happy, successful relationships with great sex. That's what we want. And the horse before the cart is desire. We got to get desire. So yeah, not
for
quite.
the couples who would like to have better sex, the number one thing I hear is, I wish we would talk more. I wish we had better communication. He doesn't.
So yeah, so basically it's trust and communication. Yes, of course it's important. Of course you can't have proper exponentially amazing sex without trust. Trust is the foundation that sets you up for depth, right? Something I teach is there's a duality to this. One, you have shallow, and then you have depth. Okay, depth is basically the friendship, the trust, the communication, all the thing that she's talking about here, which is amazing. But it's basically you being with a friend, not a lover. You want to be with a lover, okay, not with a friend. Like, yeah, I mean, it's good sex with a friend. I mean, but it's not a lover. Do you understand what I mean? That's that's a problem. It's not bad, but it's settling. Who wants to settle? Like there's well, as it says on my wall, in one of these rooms, like on the tapestry we just rent here, and it says like love is one of the things that that shouldn't be mediocre. Like that should be amazing. It should be passionate. It should be no. But if you settle, it becomes mediocre. The other thing I was gonna say, like that's depth, and shallow is basically a transaction. It's like exciting. It's fireworks. It's a stranger. It's mystery. It's like, wow, this is amazing. Well, guess what? You're supposed to have both. But the problem is that in long-term relationships, they only get the depth. They don't get the shallow. They only have the shallow in the beginning of their relationship, and that sucks. It sucks ass, like literally. But if you manage to have shallow consistently over a long period of time with the same person, meaning you have fire, 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 you can keep that fire, but only in 3 in love. That's how it works. Let's keep going, because I'm going to explain as she explains more.
Want to talk about it, or she doesn't want to talk about it, right? So these are the things that really create better sex. Also, of course, things like variety, right? So doing new things, trying new things. You can't just have that quickie. Like that used to be the case when you just had desire, pure desire. You just met someone, you're all hot and bothered. It doesn't even matter what the sex is like. It doesn't even tend to be the good sex, by the way, right? It's just the desire is good enough. He's hard, you're wet, because you see each other, quickie. 10 minutes, you can do it 5 times a day, here or there. But it's not like the most mind-blowing, right? It might be really fun, really exciting, and that's the part of you that is idealizing that sex, but it's not necessarily the most pleasurable or the most mind-blowing or orgasmic or, deep or intimate, etc. So
if you don't know each other well enough and you haven't done it a lot with each other, I completely agree with what she's saying here, that in the beginning it's mind-blowing. It's really intense, it's exciting, it's fire, blah blah blah. But then but it's not the most pleasurable that you're going to have in the future. It's not the most amazing, the most mind-blowing, because that comes over time. Of course that comes over time. Once you begin to understand each other, what you both like, over time. But how can you connect that desire over here with depth long term? Because that would be amazing. Could you imagine to have what she said, like basically have your cake and eat it too? That's basically, you get the long-term depth, you get the trust, you get the foundation, you get the knowing each other, like literally in biblical sense, knowing each other. But you also get to have the intense, the amazing, the quickies, the things that, the spark going on all the time. She says it's impossible. I say it's definitely possible. But you got to understand how these principles work in order for it to happen. But man, this is a good video.
With every kind of trade-off, there is something good. So, at first we do have to just accept that this phase of the relationship is over, right? So, have some compassion for yourself there, that it's okay that you feel that way. It's okay to kind of grieve the ending of the beginning of your relationship.
Like it literally is so sad that this, okay, first, I just have to tell you guys a little bit about female sexuality history. Okay, should we do that? First of all, we've got thousands upon thousands of years where female sexuality has been completely neglected. Absolutely, completely. Women actually have desire. Women actually want sex. Well, that's weird. No, she doesn't. That's what men have been thinking. And that's what they've wanted women to think as well, right? Making them feel guilty, making them feel fearful, making, the fact that women got pregnant very often, a lot, more often than these days because of, we've got prevention and all that stuff, caused women to really not like sexuality as much as they do today. Is that an improvement in evolution? Absolutely, right? So basically, for these thousands of years, do you understand that most people had no idea about the clitoris? Like, that simple thing that is like one of the keys to assist the woman in her sexuality had no importance. No one knew about it. It was just in and out sex, and that's it. Like, oh my gosh. We've neglected women for so long. Like, men have been prioritized. There's going to be a shift now, and there is a shift, and I'm so grateful for that. But obviously, there is a time right now where women are being told by everyone mainstream that there's not going to be any desire. That's just for the beginning of the relationship. Forget desire. It's a grave. Let's put desire there. The dates on that grave of the death of desire is basically the beginning of our relationship. And then, basically when it ended. That's not what you want. And it's horrific that women are taught this. Not because that people do it on purpose. They just don't know. They don't know. But you can have it. And you should be allowed to have it. But the environment needs to be there. And we'll learn what the environment is.
That was so fun and sexy that it didn't take any work, and we could just see each other, make eye contact, and we were ready to go. That was a...
Do you see what she says here? Okay, let's briefly go into the aspect of femininity and masculinity one more time. Masculinity is burden, responsibility, discipline, focus, goal-oriented. I have to do this, right? That's men for you, if they're, living according to their nature. And then you've got femininity, which is for women, which is based upon enjoying, experiencing, following the flow, following emotion, right? That's what it's based on. It is not based on focus, discipline, masculine, have to do this, have to work at it. Women were specifically designed to remain in their feminine nature. Okay? If you understand this, it is absolutely mind-blowing, amazing. Because then you'll realize that the things that she's teaching right here, she's telling people to work at desire. Or she's not even saying desire. She's saying to work at good sex. She's saying to go against what you're feeling until you're feeling like it. That takes discipline, work, focus, goal orientation, which is a woman in her feminine nature moving towards masculinity. Again, hybrid. Hybrids, it sucks to be feminine and masculine because your brain, your body doesn't know when to shift back and forth, right? It wants to be in a stable condition and it wants to be feminine, right? For women, it's femininity, but it doesn't work very well, right?
Really fun, amazing time. And I'm really sad that it's not that way anymore. So allow yourself to have that conversation, allow yourself to feel that way. That, yeah, it's okay. I feel that way. And also, talking about the fears, even if, me telling you it's not true that he doesn't desire you, let yourself feel that, I'm really feeling undesired. And that's a really crappy feeling, that really be with yourself there of like, wow, it really hurts my feelings that you're not all over me anymore because it really made me feel so desirable, so sexy, so wanted when that's how it was. And now I'm really missing that. And I'm really feeling like you don't want me.
She's been with a lot of players. This is what happens with players. Like, they have fun, they have amazing sex in the beginning, and then over time, the player, having had so many experiences in the past, and the fire's not really there anymore, and the woman is not really feeling as intense anymore, then he kind of loses interest. That happens, but only to players. And that's important to understand because in many ways, players screw themselves over. And we don't recognize how much players are missing from love. Like, they literally get screwed over because they never are able to get depth with anyone again in the future because they never get past that. They want the intensity, they want the mystery, they want the passion and all that stuff. But because women can't do that long term because he's not creating the environment for her, and he doesn't really care because he's a player and he's got multiple women that he can have sex with, then he begins to ditch the girls that are not fun anymore. And that's horrific. But it's sad for them mostly. But of course it's sad for the women. So it's basically a sucky situation. It's a lose-lose for everyone that gets involved with the player. Or, and the player being involved with his own life. It's sad. But if we understand desire and depth, we can have both. Again, let's keep going.
So that's really the first step of allowing the space for that kind of healing, right? It really is a healing to take place so that you can then move on to the next chapter of your relationship and really be able to appreciate what this new level of love can bring you. Because really what's happening is the lust and desire is being traded for love.
Don't you want both? Literally. Like, when you think about it. You want desire or you want deeper love? Which one you want? Like, if you knew about this, entering into a long-term relationship is like, okay, if I enter into a long-term relationship, I can get depth. I can get the friendship. I can get the closeness, the trust, and someone is there with me. I won't be alone forever. Great. But you have to sacrifice desire. You'll never feel it again after a while. Like, who would agree to such a deal? Like, that's like me telling one of my clients today, like, if someone told me that you get amazing friendship and you won't have any sex, or the sex is going to be meh when you're married long term, and that's just how it is, and you guys will have to work at it and work at it and work at it and work at it for a long time, and yeah, it might get better, but you'll never get that spark, the desire again, the stuff you had in the beginning of the relationship. I'd say no thank you. Like, I wouldn't be interested in marriage if I knew that back then, right? Who would build families? No one would build families, okay? And it's a miracle that some people still do it. It's amazing. But now that you understand that it's possible to have both, it's a completely different story. Then it's like, man, I'm fired up about this. I'm excited about getting a family. I'm excited about getting my women. You know what I mean? And as a woman, you'd be like, I'm excited to be with a man of high value if he creates the necessary environment for me to feel fire my whole life. You got to understand that desire equals motivation. If you don't have desire, there won't be motivation. Again, I'll say it again. If there's no desire, there won't be motivation. Obsession equals loyalty. If you don't desire that person, there's no obsession. And if there's no obsession, and it's work, 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 work. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. Oh, but we're still going strong. Oh, look at that guy. He's very enticing. Oh, but I can't. No, I gotta focus and discipline on my husband. He's the most important. He's getting fat. And he's not really interested in me anymore either. But this guy, huh? Do you understand what I mean? Like, you'll have that problem for the rest of your life. Why? Because you don't have desire. Do you see how problematic it is to put the cart before the horse? That's what it's like. It's very problematic. You have to have desire. That's where it starts, but that's also where it continues every single day for the rest of your life. And that's how it ends. You end with desire. And if you do that, not only will you have better life satisfaction, you'll actually live longer because you love your life, right? It's a completely different mind space than what most people are getting.
Okay, so that love is really bigger than just the desire, because when you love someone, there's so much more now to be explored in the realm of sex than just simply desire, right? Desire is just like, I want you. You look good. My hormones are telling me I want you. I want to conquer you. I want to claim you. Very animalistic, and it's great, and we can still experience that type of sex in loving relationships as well, right? But there's still also more that can.
She just said we can still experience that in long-term loving relationships. No, you just said, okay, no offense, but you just said that you can't have that, and everyone loses it. So how do you feel that in the future then? Right? By involving other things and involving other people, right? That's what, like, tons of monogamous couples are doing these days, because monogamy doesn't work in terms of desire, so they begin to look elsewhere, and they try this, and they try that, and they try this. And it screws their relationship over because they don't understand female nature. They don't understand how all of this works. If they understood it, they would keep the woman long term, and they would keep the fire and keep the desire, and they'd have exponential depth as well in the relationship.
Can also encompass that. And so in love, in your new loving relationship, once we get through this healing phase of, I feel like you don't want me anymore, and let's really get through that and really show each other, actually, that's not true. I do totally want you. I still love you. I'm still attracted to you, right? When I look at you, I'm still very attracted to you. I think you're beautiful, or I think you're handsome, and you just look so amazing, and I love being around you, and I still love touching you. And that's all still there. So let's really, really nurture that, right? And really feel that and really believe that, because when you believe that your partner loves you and is attracted to you and still thinks you're the hottest woman in the world, he wouldn't trade you for anyone. When you really, truly believe that, then you can move forward and not let this hold you back. Because when you're still feeling like, oh, he doesn't want me anymore, you're going to have this protection up, and you're not going to be open to those conversations. You're not going to be open to exploring this new sexual door that's kind of locked over here. You're not even going to walk through it because you're still blocked at the part of you that's feeling like, I'm not even wanted, so why even try? I don't want to be rejected, or I did initiate and he didn't want it, so that means he rejected me. So first, we have to really get to this understanding of how desire works. And
she said a lot there, but what? Let me just quickly.
You're not going to be open to exploring this new sexual door that's kind of locked over here. You're not even going to walk through it because you're still blocked at the part of you that's feeling like.
So what she's describing usually happens for men. They're the ones that don't feel desired. They're the ones that don't feel loved, because the woman is like, oh, I have a headache. Can we do it tomorrow? Or like, can we do it next week? And they're like, I'm too tired, and I'm to this, and to this, and to that, and to that, and to this, to this, to this. This is what's normal in a long-term relationship. I think the difference is that she doesn't have any kids yet, and maybe that's what the difference is. Because once you get in a married relationship, then you get to experience how it is for the man to not really have excess burden. Like, his burden kind of stays the same. Like, he needs to make more money, but he's just doing his best because he has a job and blah, blah, blah. He's probably not doing his best, but do you understand what I mean? Like, he needs to be motivated. And for him to be motivated, there needs to be desire, right? There needs to be a woman desiring him. But since she's not really desiring me, then he's not really motivated to do anything. And so, he might stop initiating because you've rejected him for so long, right? That's what normally happens. And, in addition to the woman having too much on her plate, too much to think about, being a superwoman, having all these kids, having to cook and having to do this and that and the other, she doesn't want to have sex because the man has created a crappy environment. So he's not high value, he's low value, and he tricked her into this environment. How did he do it? Why am I here? That's normally what happens in the long-term relationship. But now we're talking long-term, when the kids come along and all that stuff. Sarinia doesn't have kids yet, from what I understand, and so it's a little bit different. So yeah.
I'm not even wanted, so why even try? I don't want to be rejected, or I did initiate and he didn't want it, so that means he rejected me. So first, we have to really get to this understanding of how desire works, and that your partner does still want you and love you and wants to have great sex with you. We all want to have great sex, okay? It's just going to now take something more.
It doesn't have to. It doesn't require work if you're doing it right. Like, did you notice when you fell in love in the past and you did have sex with that person? There was no work. What does work have to do with anything? Like, if you're simply applying the same principles as you did when you first fell in love, and you apply some things that are necessary for that environment to function, then the principle should work on its own. Like, there's a cause and effect to you feeling those hormones, feeling those explosions, feeling the fireworks, feeling this desire and hotness towards your partner. Right? Just because you enter into a long-term relationship doesn't mean that should simply it just disappears. We don't know where it goes. Science. There's a science to this. And if we understand what's necessary, you can have it.
And so now we get to really have those conversations, and we get to initiate, for example, because just I know that a lot of women hate initiating. They're like, well, if he really wanted me, he would initiate. He always initiated before. That's how we got together. I'm not an initiator. So, there's like this block there.
Yes, and that's a huge block. Why? Because it's masculine. Initiating is masculine. This is something that the man should do and will always do, right? However, in the correct environment, the woman actually initiates quite a lot. Why? Because she has massive amounts of desire and the man is focused on other things. But when he comes home, because the woman has been brewing all day because of the correct environment, she's like, oh my gosh, he came back. Oh, I'm so excited to see him. Blah, blah, blah. That's how it's supposed to look like. So then actually there would be initiation from both parties. This is what makes it varied and fun. But very often, that's not how life works, right? Very often in the beginning, the man initiates all the time, and then the woman gets kind of sick and tired of it after a while, and then he gets sick and tired of being rejected, so he stops initiating, and then the woman is like, I have to become the man now? I have to initiate. I have to do things I don't feel like doing because I need it. But by the way, on my... I've mentioned this before, the difference between needing versus desiring sex. It's huge. Huge topic. I made a video about it, where basically the more masculine you are as a woman, the more you need sex, the less you desire sex. Okay? Huge. For men, it's the opposite. The more masculine they are, the more they desire sex, but they don't need it. They don't need it at all. But they desire it massively. The more feminine the guy is, the more he needs sex. Okay? So what ends up happening is that feminine guys are with masculine women, and they both need sex, but because they're both needy, they never initiate and don't really want to do it, right? Because the man needs it so much, the woman always rejects him when he does that, and then the woman, she needs it, but she has this huge block because she's doing something that's masculine. She has to work at it. She has to put on the pants and say, we're having sex right now. And the guy's like, oh, okay, and then he prematurely ejaculates, and it's over. Right? Why? Because he has anxiety. The more a woman is masculine, the more freaked out he is in the bedroom. He doesn't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to work through those problems and all that stuff. The more masculine a man is, the more he lasts, the better he is in bed. The more feminine a woman is, the more fired up and excited she is about being with that masculine, high-value man.
And again, that block is really saying, well,
this is becoming long.
He doesn't want me. So when we're able to now push this to the side. And we get to know that's not true, okay? So if I take myself out of it and I initiate and I get to be truly selfless and I can see that, hey, maybe he's not warmed up right away. Maybe he doesn't have an erection right away. Maybe it does take him longer. If I stop making that about me and thinking, oh, he doesn't want me, so forget about it, I can now focus on his pleasure for real, right?
Oh my gosh, this is like a woman talking like a man. Like literally. Again, no offense, Sarinia, but like if you really, really went deep into what you're saying, you are literally saying, I will do the things that the man needs because he needs it, because he's having a hard time, he doesn't have an erection. Like, what kind of masculine man doesn't get an erection? The only reason a man doesn't get an erection is because he's anxious, he's fearful, or he's ejaculated so many times in his life, he's messed up his dopamine receptors by watching porn, by watching all sorts of crap, right? Which causes him to be, again, fearful and anxious, and it's different, the environment that he's put in with the woman now. That's so, like, a masculine man doesn't have that issue because he practices semen retention. Like, whenever you practice semen retention as a man, you always get an erection. Like you have an erection when you're not having sex even. Like, you know, when you sleep, you just, like, you have an erection. Like, that's what masculine men have. Like, I mean, anyway. It's so funny because she's the man and he's the woman. Oh, I struggle. It's gonna take me some time. It's gonna take me 20 minutes to get ready for sex. Like, have we switched roles or something? What's going on with the world?
And desire is a lot more selfish. It's a lot more like, well, I just want to get off, or I like that you get off, but I like that you get off because it makes me feel good about myself. It makes me feel sexy. It makes me feel like a seductress, right? But now when we're moving into this new phase of love, it's, you know what? You don't need an erection. Just enjoy this, babe. Let me just play with you anyway. Let me just give you a blowjob anyway. You don't have to have an orgasm. You don't have to get hard. As long as you're telling me that you feel the pleasure, that you're still enjoying this, I don't need anything. And not that it's going to be like that all the time, but allow space for that. Allow an experience like that to take place in which, or maybe when you are having sex, maybe he loses his erection. Rather than making that about you and going, what's wrong? Okay, let's just forget about it. Just think, don't worry about it. You know, how does this feel? And we get to really create a much, much better, actually, loving sexual container in which anything is possible. So
Is that sexy? Like, do you feel this is sexy? This is like, does it turn you on? Would you want to be with that guy? No. Like, that's like the recipe for a man being powerless is the fact that he can't get an erection. Like, what is going on? And the woman blaming herself for it? That's even more, like, it's completely his fault. Absolutely, completely. What is going on, dude? Oh, but it's okay. It's the world we live in. We have to be accepting. We have to be loving. We have to be kind. But I'm just telling you guys that this is not what's potentially ahead of you. You can experience so much bliss, joy, happiness if you apply the correct principles so that you can have both desire and depth.
it's this need for desire, which is really the need for me feeling good about myself, which is in the way of having good sex. Okay? So, again, how do we have good sex? Communication, right? Trust, openness, the chemistry.
Let's go back again. Like she says,
it's this need for desire, which is really the need for me feeling good about myself, which is in the way of having good sex.
So the need for desire is the thing that's stopping us from having good sex. No, it's worked in the past. Every time I've had desire, I have pretty good sex. Like, why, if desire didn't produce great sex, then why want desire in the first place? Why make a video about it? Like, what's the point of desire? Who cares about desire? We just take it out of the equation. It's only about great sex now. Like, did you understand what I mean? Like, you wouldn't make a video about desire if it wasn't important. Desire in relationship is missing. How do we keep it? How do we bring it back? That's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear, you don't need it. You can figure out another way of creating a different environment that doesn't require desire. Like, again, subscribe to Sarinia. She has fantastic videos. She really does. This video as well is amazing if you understand it from the lens that I'm coming from. Because like if we made collaborations, like you'd learn so much because you get a woman's perspective, but you'd also get a man's perspective in terms of how female nature works. Female nature is a male science. Why? Because of case studies. Okay, when a woman gets in the now, she forgets about what happens because she's only in the now. There is no past, there is no future, right? There's only the now. But a man, if he's masculine, he takes the emotion out of it and then he just observes. What happened in the past? How many times did it happen? Boom, 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 boom. And then he looks at the now, and then he uses the history, boom, 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 thinks about, I've seen this before, right? It's a male science. And then he can predict the future because he's not in his emotions as intensely as a woman is. Women, you should be grateful that you don't think like men. But men have a different way of thinking about things when they are not emotional. You want to be emotional. You don't want to become a man. Because the moment you become a man and start thinking like men do, your emotions disappear. And really, that's the biggest reason why there's no desire. That you becoming masculine and not feeling anything. That's the problem.
Okay. So, again, how do we have good sex? Communication, right? Trust, openness. The chemistry is there. It has to be there in order for you to even be in a long-term relationship. If you never had good sex, if you never had hot and bothered sex ever from the beginning, maybe the chemistry is not there, and that would be something to look at. So,
why do you get together with someone in the long-term relationship? It's because you got the chemistry. But if you don't feel desire after 2 years, let's say you're lucky and they'd last for 2 years, and how do you have chemistry if there's no desire? Like, briefly about me and my wife, like, we're amazing friends. Like, we have the deepest friendship bond I've ever seen between a man and a woman, okay? But the desire aspect, we've been together for 11 years in 6 days' time, right? So I understand this. I understand how it works. I've seen, I've seen it progress throughout our lives, through it together. And chemistry, sexually, like, and I know that I'm the average Joe when it comes to this. This is not just, oh, you guys are an exception rather than no, we're the rule. Okay, we're literally the rule. Because I've heard tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of case studies of what happens in marriages. Even though they don't talk about it, they talk about it. Thank goodness for the internet.
another really important factor is touch. So regardless of, sex and desire is just that attraction, right? That attraction and that closeness and that liking of your partner, to really like your partner, which means through the day, how are you? Are you, when you walk up to them, when they're in the kitchen and you walk up next to them, are you touching them? Even if it's just like stroking their arm or stroking their hair or giving them a little hug or a little kiss, that should be in your day all the time.
Boom. Okay, and this is where I start talking about 3 in love. What is that? 3 in love is the environment. From my understanding, the only environment, okay, I'm going to go on a roll there, that allows you to have desire and longevity, depth in the long term. And that shallow relationship will continue exponentially and become more exciting over time. 3 in love. 1 man, 3 women. Best friends forever. 3 in love. Not only do they love their man, but they love each other. What she's describing right here, right now, is women. Being with women all day long, touching, feeling, working with their hair, pampering each other, asking how their day is, asking this, that, and the other, talking, blah, 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 communication, trust, harmony one with another. The only reason why they have harmony with each other is because the man takes all of the blame in order for the relationship to work. But that's how it functions. In 3 in love, you have that. You have the closeness, you have the intimacy, you have all of that. And because the man is gone 80 to 90% of the day, you're fired up outside your brain, all 3 of you, for him to return back home in the evening and massively reward him for his efforts at providing for you luxuriously. The man, if he cannot provide luxuriously, he has nothing to do with 3 in love. He has to be able to do that. That's what we teach on the Men of High Value channel, is how to build up their financial foundation so that they're able to provide luxuriously for 3 women and their kids over time. Let's put the kids aside for a while, because we're talking about relationships here. We're talking about desire. We're talking about depth with each other. 3 in love. Because when one woman desires the man, you've seen it happen with you in the past, you have your friend suddenly interested in the one that you want. Suddenly, there's like an immediate edification that happens, unspoken, that this guy is high value. Oh, wow, that's my guy. He's my guy too. And he's promised me that we're going to be treated equally. He's promised me security, that I'm never going to be left behind. And also my best friends forever, my 2 best friends forever, they're with me, and they are also cooperating so that I can feel security and feel equality. And if they don't for a second, it's because of the environment that the man has not been able to put in place for them. Do you understand how all this works? The moment you have someone else with your man, but it's a woman that you love as a woman, and you see her receiving pleasure from the man that you want pleasure from, desire, immediate. You can be 95 years old, okay? Don't imagine it. And you'll still have desire in your relationship using that formula. Amazing.
So that you really, really gain this full sense of this real belief that you are attracted to each other, rather than like repulsed, like don't touch me, right? And if there is that kind of repulsion, again, communication. Oftentimes what's holding us back is that resentment or that fear. There's bottled up emotions. There's that feeling of not being desired, right? You can hold a lot of resentment there if you're still believing my partner doesn't desire me anymore. So being able to have the conversation and listen and trust in what your partner is saying. If he says, no, it's not true, I do desire you, I do still want to be with you.
Oh, quick thing. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay. You cannot believe how many times in the beginning of our marriage that I said, I love you. And I did. Like, I really did. And I still do to this day. My love has not changed one bit. My wife has been like thin, beautiful, like, oh my gosh, like sexy, right? That's when we got married. She was, whoa, okay? Then she got overweight. Hey, that happens. 2 kids. And that's what estrogen does. In order for you to have estrogen in your life, the pleasure that you get from food, and that's what gives you estrogen. So you end up eating too much, and then you become overweight, and etc. etc. So she became overweight. I still had the same love for her, and I was telling her during that time, I love you, I love you, I love you. The attraction level decreases, of course, because attraction is not what's it called? Attraction is not controllable. But now she's becoming thin again, and the attraction level is like, whoa, increasing. The attraction level increasing. Me, I have always desire. you gotta understand that. As a man, I have intense desire. Her desire for me, not so much. The interesting part about this is, of course, it's about the power relationship. But the reason why she doesn't have attraction for me, it's a long story, but it's basically because I take all the blame in our relationship in order for us to never, ever, ever fight. Okay? So we can never fight in our relationship. There's no one else I know that never fights. Right? And there's, oh my gosh, there's so much I can say all this. I love this video. Thank you so much, Sarinia, for making it. But basically what I'm saying is, if a woman looks at you as low value, okay, she has the power in the relationship. No matter how much you tell her that you love her and that you're attracted to her and that you want the best for her and all that stuff, it goes in one ear, it goes out the other. You know why? Because she wants it from a high value man, not a low value man. And when a low value man tells her, I love you, I love you, I love you, it's like, oh, pfft. But if a high value man says it, she's like, really? Oh, wow. Okay. That's it's exciting. I'm just describing it for you guys as it really is in real life.
Listen to him, right? Believe him. Because just because the sex has gone down in frequency doesn't mean that that's not true. That's just normal. Okay? Having the conversation of how much sex do you want to be having? And what kind of sex do you want to be having? You know, would you rather have quality or quantity? So, in other words, do you just want to make sure you have sex 4 times a week and then you're happy? So, even a quickie would count? Or would you rather skip the quickie and say, okay, you know what, I'm good with sex twice a week, but I would rather it be like really good sex. So we have to really set up that container. Like I want low dim lights, I want the music, I want the whole thing set up so that we know like this is going to be our time together, right?
Quality versus quantity in sex. Which one do you want to choose? Choose one. No, I don't want to choose one. I want both. Again, I want my cake and I want to eat it too. Isn't that what women want? You want quantity? But there needs to be desire, because why do you want quantity if it's not exciting? Desire is what makes it exciting. And then you've got quality on the other hand. Well, guess what? If you guys continuously improve and you still have always that desire going on, you're going to have had sex so many different ways and so many variables, because there's 3 women, 1 man. There's so many different ways that, things can happen throughout, 50 years of commitment to each other, right? We want both quality and commitment. And not only that, but the work that she's talking about with the candles and the fancy and the romance and all that stuff. You don't want your man to be thinking like that. There's 2 different aspects. Femininity says it's the small things that count. Masculinity, I've got more important things to do. Okay, so if we understand that principle, the man needs to be gone and get rich. And the women need to be there creating this fantastic environment and take care of the little things, which is the most important job, by the way. Okay, the man has more important things to do, but those important things to do are just important in terms of setting up the foundation. He's the foundation worker. The foundation worker is basically making sure there's resources, making sure everyone is safe at all times and all places, making sure he takes the blame for everything that goes wrong in the relationships so that the women have security and equality at all times, which is basically what causes women to thrive. If they have that from their man of high value, he takes care of that foundation. That was crucially important. The most important after those things are taken care of is the little things. And the little things need to work for everyone. All the women's emotional needs need to be met, and the man's emotional needs need to be met, or else he won't be motivated to keep going, right? If you guys completely neglect the man, how much importance will he find in building the foundation or providing for you luxuriously? He won't. But if you massively build up his power, build up his confidence, build up his ambition level, motivate him like crazy. You know what to do. As 3 women, you can come up with plans. As 1 woman, though, in monogamy, you've got way too much crap to do. You're a superwoman already. You have kids. You have play dates. You have parents. You have grandparents. You've got religion. You've got this, that, and the other. And on top of that, you need to plan out the sex. That's too much. Women can't do that. And guess what? The man is going to suck at creating that environment that you want. The small little things, yeah, he sucks at doing them. And you don't want him to do them anyway. If he's good at it, he's low value man. Because he focuses on the little things instead of building the foundation and the environment that you need.
Block off a couple hours, like I don't want quickies. Or maybe you want a quickie just sometimes, but really talk about that with each other. Like, what is important to each of you? And rather than just thinking it's a given and it should just happen, because that's not how it works.
Should happen.
It's just not.
Come on, it should just happen. That's what we were designed to do. It should just happen. Have you noticed this is how it works when you fall in love? Do you work for it? No, it happens to you. That's femininity. Emotion, that caused that there was a cause, right? And then the effect was the emotion. Wow, amazing. I feel so amazing, right? That's the emotion you want to have. And you can have it. Because the only thing you need in order for you to have that effect is a cause. So if we know what the cause is, and it's a man of power, we can give that to you. But the only way we can give that to you is if you share him with 2 other best friends. You see how all of this fits together. This is a very long video, but you can get a lot of information in 1 hour from this amazing video she's put together and the response that I've given.
There's so many different ways in which we can create better sex. Now, does that mean that we're not going to even deal with desire at all? Like there's no more desire in long-term relationships? Of course not. All I'm saying is that it's going to be less frequent. In other words, you're not going to wake up in the middle of the night anymore with a boner poking you in the back like you might have in those first few weeks or months, right?
Wouldn't that be nice? Semen retention, he can do that.
It's just going to be a little bit less. You're going to sleep through the night now. So the one thing that I really do know that's going to kind of ignite desire, right? So let's just say it's sporadic. It's going to happen less frequently, and you have to kind of create the room for it. So again, if you're just
Sporadic. I don't want sporadic. I want consistency. Don't you? You want consistently be in love. You want consistent good sex or great sex, right? You want consistency in love and appreciation and all that stuff. You want consistency. Do you know what is needed for exponential growth? Consistency. That's it. That's the only thing that's needed. Do you know what's needed for exponential decline? Consistency. If a man doesn't take care of his woman properly and he has a horrific environment continuously and consistently over a long period of time, guess what? The exponential decline is going to happen. Just as sure as there's an exponential decline that's going to happen from a man not treating a woman right. If a man treats a woman right and he provides the correct environment that she needs according to her female nature, it is impossible for there not to be an exponential growth curve. What does an exponential growth curve need? Consistency. So, do we want sporadic experiences? No, we want desire, intense desire, consistently over a long period of time. That will create the exponential growth in happiness, joy, bliss. Oh my gosh, how is this possible? It is possible because that's our design. That's how we function, and we just don't know that yet. Or at least the majority of people don't know that yet.
Desire something that you don't have. The number one way to desire something is to create space between you and it. So often I hear women especially, they really want two things and they're conflicting, right? So the one thing is I really want to feel desired, and the other thing is I really want to spend more time with me.
Okay. 3 in Love completely explained. This is her explaining 3 in Love, not me. A woman's dual nature. She wants femininity. She wants masculinity. Masculinity is space. Go away. Be gone for the majority of I don't want your testosterone energy. I'm not designed for it. I'm supposed to be gone from it. Leave. Be gone. Go make money. I want the resources. I want all the fancy new stuff. I want us to have status. Go make money. Okay? That's what creates space. He's gone. And he wants to be gone. If you understand masculine men, we hate spending all day with women because it makes us more womanly. The more masculine you are, the more you want to be gone from women. And when you come back with them, you want to have sex. That's a masculine man. Okay? That's how we function. Okay? And then you've got your feminine needs, your emotional feminine needs. I want to spend time with him, not him. You were designed to spend time with estrogen. Estrogen. He's gone. And if you want him to become rich, then you've got to connect with other women. That's the key. Okay? So the more time you spend with the other women, obviously you won't have like fireworks and everything is absolutely amazing sexually only with the women. It's almost as if the man is needed for the sparks and fireworks to happen, which is good. Because or else you'd feel, so much all the time. It's not designed for that. And that would fade away. But since you have women throughout the day, all day long, and you guys are working like every day on the things that will create a beautiful family, you're taking care of the kids, you're making food, you're making a beautiful environment. He comes home. Everyone's excited to see everyone. That's the design. And those are the 2 things that women cannot have. This is one of the biggest reasons why we figured out or why we discovered 3 in Love was because I wanted business so bad. Like if there's anything I want more, like the biggest thing I want from 3 Girls in Love or 3 in Love is I want to work. I want to work 12 hours a day. Like as a masculine man, there's nothing more in my life that I want more than work. I want to work 12 hours a day. You freaking single men out there, you're freaking lucky that you're not married, that you can actually work 12 hours a day. Because I have a woman, and she's amazing. And I love my kids, and I love being around them. But I understand these principles, and I understand that I need to be gone in order for me to be wanted, right? But we'd rather take care of our kids and homeschool them and make sure that they have a fantastic, time growing up, rather than neglecting them and putting them to school and kindergarten and all that crap because I want to be gone. No. Because we don't have the other women, I need to replace those 2 other women and work from home. And we are doing that successfully, no problem. But that will affect the desire in our relationship. And we know that, so we know how to fix it. But did you see how all of this comes together? It's freaking amazing.
Okay, so it's like, okay, I have this need for desire, and so I'm wanting to grab onto him, like desire me, desire. There's a lot of control there, right?
Masculinity.
So if he wants to go out with his friends, if he wants to go on a trip without you, if he wants to just go on a walk alone, he doesn't want to invite you this time. All of those times, look at how you're behaving. Are you saying, why? Why can't I come with you? Why do you want to spend time without me?
Because you're a woman, and I've spent enough time with you. I don't want more estrogen. I need more testosterone.
Why are you acting like you're single? We're supposed to be a unit. We're supposed to be a couple. We're supposed to be together all the time.
No, I'm not your lesbian girlfriend, boyfriend. I don't know anymore.
Then you're really sabotaging this other desire, which is to be desired, right? So allowing him to go without you, allowing him the space and the time to miss you, allowing him to flirt with the world.
Interesting. She does have videos about polyamory. So you understand that. So the sporadic experiences that she has of desire and intensity and all that stuff probably comes from the polyamory experiences she has, but you can't do that long term, and it doesn't really work very well, and it's always a bad idea long term. 3 in love though solves that problem. But what I wanted to just mention here is like, did you notice everything I just mentioned? I haven't seen this video before. I don't even know what she's gonna be saying, but I'm saying what she's gonna be saying in advance of her saying it, because this is how it works. The man wants to be gone, but women don't want to work. They just want to be home and do their thing. But if they had 2 best friends to do it with, it wouldn't be lonely, would it? The emotional need is, women are social creatures. They need others around them. This is why women go out into the workforce in the first place, because they can't stay home, right? You get a mother, and she's like, I don't want to be home with the kids. You know why? Because it's the hardest freaking work there is. But if you're 3, that's not a problem. It's fun cooking. It's fun taking care of the kids. It's fun, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what women are doing these days. Because of monogamy, they go out and they are social with their work instead. And they end up having a different man that they're working for. A boss at work. Fun. While their other man, is doing something else. Weird world we're living in. Not according to nature.
And I know this can sound really threatening, right? To a lot of women, it's like, no, don't flirt with the world. Are you going to flirt with another woman when I'm not there? What if he does, right? What if the flirting, what if the allowing him to feel desired in the world by having a conversation with a beautiful woman, by reminding him that he is an attractive alpha man, and then giving him that energy to bring home to you and to unleash on you, would it be worth it?
No, it's never worth it. Why? Because of inequality and security, the foundational need for women. It's the pillars. Security, equality. What happens when a man flirts with someone outside the home? You as a woman don't know who he's flirting with. You don't know if she's more hot than you. You don't know if she's younger than you. You don't know if she has tactics that you don't know about, right? And you have a disadvantage because he already has you. He's already experienced you. The thing out there is new. It's exciting. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Danger. Security taken away. Unless you're masculine. And you've been told by your man that you need to control yourself. You need to, work on those emotions because I want to flirt with others. Why shouldn't I flirt with others? That's going to benefit you because you're going to know that I am high value because other girls are flirting with me. Do not do this in uncontrolled fashion. There's a reason why 3 in Love exists and is the design. Because there's security and equality with the women there. And you know, for sure, 100%, that he would never, ever flirt with anyone else. Anywhere. Because he can control himself. He controls his thoughts, his emotions, and his behaviors. And that, by the way, is the definition of masculinity. If he cannot control himself and you let him flirt with the world, what are you allowing him to be? Really a girl. Because he's not supposed to do that to you as your committed partner. Because he messes up your security and equality. You're not equal with those other women that he flirts with. And there's no security. I'm so glad she mentioned this at the end of the video.
Would you then be okay with that if you knew that he was going to now unleash all of this pent-up sexual energy on you? Is that what you would like? Or would you rather he be completely numb to the world, not get any feeling from any desire anywhere, and stay more dull with you as well, right?
So he wouldn't be dull in 3 in Love, would he? No. He'd have massive pent-up sexual energy from being gone all day long and working massively to provide luxuriously. Everyone would have desire.
Because we don't just feel desired from one person. When we meet someone and we have all of this energy, right? It's also because we feel attractive in the world when we're single and we're allowed to be perceptive to other men looking at us and other men talking to us and other...
Polyamory. Welcome. No, not so much. Get the hell out of here. No offense to Sarinia. I'm just saying that polyamory does not work. If you guys want an extra video on it, I can make one. But I think I've already made one in the past. Just search 3 in Love or 3 Girls in Love polyamory. You'll find something. But it doesn't work. Why? Because of kids. Mostly because of kids. Right? That's a huge reason. But number 2, it also creates... I could make another hour about polyamory. But do you get it? Do you guys understand it? You as a feminine woman do not want more than one guy. You really don't. If you're feminine, you want to be monogamous with the opposite gender because he's absolutely flippin' amazing. A man is polygamous by nature. He wants multiple women. 3 in Love actually secures that. And for a woman, that 3 in Love secures him being high value for her. Right? So do you see how all this works? But if a woman now becomes hybrid and a man becomes hybrid, everything becomes warped. The man stops controlling himself, he starts drinking, he starts doing other stuff, flirting with other girls, not providing the security and equality, but the woman also begins to notice other men. And you begin to get the problems that are always present in today's world, with cheating and this and that.
There are men asking for our numbers, even if we do say no, but just putting ourselves in the position where people would even ask because we're not out with our boyfriend, we're out with our friends, right? We're out with our girlfriends, we're looking cute, we're dancing. You're putting yourself in positions all the time where you're seeing that you're a desirable woman.
How long does that last for, Sarinia? How long are you a desirable woman in the non-long-term relation? Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, you're 20, 25, 30 years old. You're out with your friends dancing and you feel desired, right? You're now 35 years old. Oh, suddenly you turn 40, 45. You're 50 years old. You've got literally 30 to 40 years left of your life. Maybe even 50 if science continues. So you're going to go the rest of your life not feeling desired by anyone. That's sad, right? Do you see, again, no offense, but do you see how all this works? Like, you want to be feminine as a woman, and you want to have the high value man constant, as a pillar, as a sun for you, right? And the women revolve around him, but he's gone, which means that the women revolve around each other. And that's way more important. It's all about the women. The man just simply provides the foundation and is there sometimes to make it fun and exciting. But he's gone most of the time because that's where he wants to be.
And so that's also really important for you to go out in the world without him, for you to go on girls' trips, for you to hang out more with girls is also going to make you more desirable.
Hanging out with girls, not guys. Girls.
So That's a long video. I'm gonna.
That's a long video. Okay, mine was even freaking longer, like 3 times longer. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. You guys got tons of good information here. Comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe as always, and share it with people who are wondering, why don't I have desire in my relationship? And you guys can see then the nuances. Sarinia, I want to do a collaboration with you. I hope you see this video, and I hope that you don't. I know that you will feel rejected. I know, but we're doing this for love, okay? That's the only thing I'm caring about, and you do a fantastic job explaining things according to what the mainstream believes. But you are a fantastic relationship expert. I just wish that you'd seen a few of my videos so you understand a little bit more towards where we can take people, because desire can be there for the rest of your life. This is the 3 in Love channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I will see you guys in the next one, unless there's some questions, and Tamara has some questions. Let's quickly go through these. If nothing changes and you are saying a guy will never change and will always be attracted, why does he cheat? Because guys cheat on hot women all the time. Yes. Okay. So it's a very good question, and I would say that what's the definition of always? Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's too long. It's too long. I can make an own video on it. You guys are awesome. I'll see you guys in the next one.